Welcome to the Devoted Way podcast, all about magic and miracles with me, Sora Schilling. It's time to hone in on your intuition, become artful, respectful, and nuanced with your relationship with energy, and live life based on your design. Your unique blueprint encoded with stardust from the ethereal realm and blood from those that have come before you. You know what to do and how to be, so trust in yourself. Hey everyone, I am currently in Cusco, Peru, and I am about to host a retreat for several divine beings here for 10 days, and I am so excited. But before I even go there, today I wanted to share a little bit about breath, and it's such a great time to do so because I keep losing my breath right now. And the reason being is the following. If you have ever been to Cusco, Peru, you will know that the altitude here is quite high. And I was born and raised in New York where we were at sea level. And so the altitude here is around 3,400 meters in elevation, or for those of us that work in feet, we're over 11,000 feet. Now, the funny thing is, I have been coming to Peru for a very long time. And every single time, my brain knows that altitude is going to be a thing. But as soon as my small plane hits the Cusco tarmac and the door opens and we go out, because it's a very small airport. And so we go down the stairs and then we enter into a bus and the bus drives us. Actually, even with this one, that's Lima. In Cusco, you don't even have a bus. I think you just kind of walk. But anyway, you walk and you exit, and then you go down these pathways. And I'm a New Yorker, and I walk really fast. And I have to be really mindful about slowing down. When I'm with people, I'm not that person who walks ahead of people. I don't do that, though. Granted, I used to, but I don't do that anymore. So I'm really good about keeping up with someone's pace. But when I'm by myself, I'm just naturally a fast walker. And it's usually about 5 minutes in. I'm already carrying a backpack and a small bag, and I'm just kind of hustling and walking really fast. And all of a sudden it hits me, and I have to stop for a moment, and I am just winded, right? Catching my breath. And it's so funny because this has been my relationship with breathwork as well. Now, often when I used to be a participant, which I still am, but in the beginning, when I would be working with breath and through breathwork, I would be so motivated. And I would be the one who'd say, I am going to get this down pat and I'm going to breathe really hard and everything is good in the beginning. And then it's not. And my mind wreaks havoc. My body begins to overreact. I start catching my breath and not having that easeful way of breathing. And I just notice how hard it is and becomes even more and more intense. And so this solidifies the fact that my brain and my body are working extra hard to try and keep up when I don't have to, right? So I just love that even my experience right now, as I enter into this preparation for the retreat, that I am being so lovingly schooled on breath and how much breath could support us in recognizing how to slow down, how to take deeper breaths, and to recognize that depending on where you are in life, that breathing and things like that could be sometimes a little bit more challenging, and or an invitation to slow it down even further and be really aware as to what's going on around you. Today I had some energy, and so what I like to do is ground myself and say hello. And so I walk around Cusco. I'm quite familiar with this town. And so I went to my favorite spots and I did a long walk. And if you've been here, you know that there are many places that are quite hilly. And so it's interesting because I can go for a really long time, and it's only when I start coming back does it really hit me. It's as if my mind catches up with my energetic state of gratitude and this ability for me to be in the fullest expression of presence. But as I start going back to my hotel, I know that I'm kind of living in the future now. I know that I will be in a location very soon versus when I'm walking a bit with no agenda. Right? I'm walking with a lot of presence. There isn't any particular place I'm trying to head to. And I'm just taking myself and just noticing what's still familiar, what has changed. But when going back to your hotel, you know exactly where you're going. And then all of a sudden, there is this deeper sense and awareness of time and structure and outcome. And all of a sudden, it gets harder. And so when I come back, I always have to stop. And so I always have to stop at a park and sit for a little bit or stop at another hotel where I can go and grab some tea or a little bite to eat before I finish the rest of my time getting back to my hotel. And so I share this because very soon, Devoted Breathe Abundance, which is a 5-week experience, is about to happen. And everything that I just shared in regards to my journey of walking and breath here in Peru is also something that you're going to notice that you might encounter in a breathwork session. So, what I wanted to do today was share a little bit about what devoted breathe abundance looks like and feels like when you're inside the container. I'm not talking about when it is or how long it is or, any of that. I want you to begin to understand the fullness and the richness of the experience when you say yes. And so that's what I want to talk about a little bit. And then a memory of my first time in Peru has really been in the forefront here, wanting to be expressed. And so I'm going to share a little story about younger Sora in her 20s, and what it was like when she came here for the first time. But before I go into that story, let's talk a little bit about devoted breathe abundance. So imagine that you say yes. You say yes to entering into this 5-week container. And whether or not you can join every single session, live or not, know that you will be deeply held and you will have a practice that you can continue with throughout the days in between the time that we come together. Now, imagine the first day we come together. We open our circle space. In this intimate group, you will get to know each other quite well, and this is the first time you're getting to know one another. During our time, we open space and we go through every single session a moment of inquiry. I pose a series of very deep, open ended, really juicy questions that your mind can begin to get really satisfied in answering. So they're not generic. They're not something that your mind could half do while half doing something else and half worrying about something else. Your mind needs full 100% focus and attention to actually answer these questions, which is a joy for your mind. And so your mind begins to answer these questions, and then you enter into a sacred group, a circle where you each get an opportunity to share based on what you wrote or anything that else that comes up for you based on the journal prompts. I don't know about you, but quite often I get so much information by having questions and then not necessarily even answering those questions, but noticing what comes up and out of me from my unconscious state just by knowing that these questions are available. Does that happen to you? So there's that time where you get to really honor your voice, your thoughts, your feelings, and other unexpected information that rises up to the surface. And quite often in your pairings, I have past breathers tell me that they are in such awe and they're so amazed that the partner they had was exactly the partner they were supposed to. That either their lived stories were very similar, or whatever they were currently going through was very similar, or they just felt this immediate connection and this resonance within one another that helped them open the space and go even deeper. It is such a loving, amazing experience to have time in a group experience where you truly have an opportunity to listen to your fellow cohort members and get to truly know them and honor the time that you're having with one another, and also understanding that their ability to simply show up and be there for you opens you up, because they are a mirror, they are a portal, they are a friend, they are a colleague, and it is so incredible. Okay, so after that happens, I bring you all back and we have an open share. We begin to discuss what came through, and then we begin to get really curious around the through line. What is the thing that you are going to enter into this particular breath session? We then go prepare ourselves, nesting and doing all the things we need for this delicious breathwork session. It's typically about 30 minutes long. And I start you off, and throughout the entire time, I'm your guide. I play some epic music that I intentionally carve out time to create these playlists. And I'm a pretty amazing DJ as well as a guide. And so you will hear me. You won't hear me all the time, but you'll hear me guide you. Sometimes you'll hear instruments. Sometimes you'll hear words of affirming words, or I'll be inviting you to release sound. There'll be lots of beautiful things that occur while also giving you the time and space to go deeper and deeper that's required for you, knowing that you've got this as a breather, as an amazing mystical being, and one that is on their own healing journey, who has self-agency and self-knowledge. So, after the breath, you slowly come out of it, and there is time for creative expression and writing down any words that came through, as well as some time to rest and integrate. After that, we come back together for any final shares. I then close us out, and then we end our session. These sessions are 2 hours long. They go by really quickly. They are super full with a lot of information that comes through. So what happens in between sessions? Because we meet every week. In between that, you receive a playlist. That is the exact playlist that you dropped into for that breathwork session. You receive all those journal prompts, and you receive a cut version of our time together, so that you have it to go deep into the experience with me as your guide. And so therefore, you can go through it on your own with just the playlist, or you can go through it with me there in your ear, side by side with the music. This is also a great time to continue to the breath work and journal every day. If you so choose, you get to choose whatever it feels true for you. And so therefore, if you want to show up once a week and that feels enough, great. If you want to do it 2 or 3 times more, amazing. It's totally up to you. Now, that's what the sessions are like. Now, during our time together, there are several very specific, abundant, and money-focused intentions that we move through. And so, though you may have already done a lot of work around money, around ancestral trauma, around your own money stories, around forgiveness, currency, sacred reciprocity, self-worth, self-love, there is a deep through line and an ebb and flow based on the way in which we hold devoted, breathe abundance that is quite heart-opening, aha oriented, and gives you a sense of deeper awareness and gives you access to hidden compartments of yourself that you may not have had a chance yet to explore until this point in time. And so, whether or not you feel you have this deep, deep sense of needing, quote, in quotation, needing to work on money or not, my community members, including yourself, are life coaches, healers, leaders, teachers, right? And therefore, that means that you are a spiritual entrepreneur with a small business. Whether you have loads of money in your bank account and you feel deeply safe and secure, the one thing about entrepreneurship is that it is an ebb and flow, and there is a current. And therefore, no matter what, as an entrepreneur, there's always these hidden compartments of deep exploration around exchange, worthiness, self-love, currency, the soul and frequency of money, forgiveness, deep conditioning from society, from loved ones, and ancestral trauma that all weaves in to how we grow and thrive as a business owner. Therefore, Devoted Breathe Abundance supports that as well. I have had great breathers come in specifically because they wanted to expand their business or to get clear around the next phase of their business as they reorient themselves. I've had other folks join because they had specific money stories that they wanted to clear. Others who came in because they recognized it is about money, but it isn't. It was truly about worthiness and about ancestral stories that they've taken on for themselves. And so, therefore, if you feel as if there is this only focus on money, I am going to say that no, that is not necessarily true. But through the frequency of abundance, we can begin to understand that it is more than money and how we live in the frequency of abundance, just as I feel right now, looking out my window, looking out and noticing the greenery, the plants, the mountains. As I'm sitting here in this hotel speaking to you, I can feel the resonance of abundance. And that has nothing to do with the amount of money that is coming in, but it has everything to do with me living in the fullest expression of my soul's essence. Okay, so I invite you, please join us. It is a small container. We will only be taking 10 people inside of Devoted Breathe Abundance. We are opening the doors now. Today is the first day that we are opening this up. And so I invite you to please join us for this experience. Now, I'm going to leave you with a story based on the first time that I entered and I came to the Sacred Valley, but also to this incredible country called Peru. I was in my early 20s and I had left my corporate job at Gap Inc. I was in pre-production in New York City, and I had this very awesome apartment in Chelsea, and I was walking distance to work, and I thought I was living my life. Except I wasn't. I hated my life. I was not doing the thing that I really wanted to do. And at the time, I had this incredible boyfriend, this partner who I will forever be grateful for. I have such fond memories of him. He was the first one in my adulthood who said, let's go on a vacation and let's go to Costa Rica. Now, it's not that I haven't traveled abroad before, internationally, or even internationally by myself or with others, but there was something to the exploration and the freedom in its adulthoodness that, I don't know, changed everything, because there was permission to say, what if this was my life? Now, prior to that, a couple years prior, I did go backpacking across Europe after graduating college, but it was as if it was a hurrah before entering the workforce, and that then there were expectations and these responsibilities. Versus when I went to Costa Rica, there was this sense and exploration of, what if this could be my life? And so when I finally left New York, I gave up my apartment, I left my job. I spent 3 months in Buenos Aires in Argentina, where I have family. And then I took the next 3 months traveling around South America, flying and taking buses alongside my boyfriend. And when we came to Peru, we went all over. We were in Lima and we went to all sorts of different places, including sand boarding and all of these things. But when I came to Cusco, one of the things that I remembered was looking at the mountains and just being in such awe, in such awe. And then I recognized and remembered that it was so cold, that my skin was getting so dry. And of course, the hotel that we chose, it was more of like a small bed and breakfast, was about like 10 minutes away from the center, and you had to go up and all these windy roads. And then when we got to the B&B, we also had to climb, I think, 3 sets of stairs to get to our one bedroom. And I was dying because, of course, I had my backpack, my traveler's backpack, and then I had my little backpack in front of me. And though we were pretty darn healthy at that time, we were also going to do the Inca Trail, and we were going to do, I believe it was a 5-day trek. So we were pretty good to go, but still, I was like, by that point in time, that first day, I just wondered if I was going to even be able to make it and even do the trek to get to Machu Picchu. But it was so beautiful and so lovely. And Peru has so many different places and so many different amazing things to offer that in my 20s, I was living part of my best life. And one of the things now that I am coming to understand is in Devoted Breathe Abundance, we talk about our evolution and not to get stuck in a period of time and believing that is the only way for us to achieve that full expression, including abundance. And in my 20s and in my early 30s, I lived an abundant life of traveling. I lived abroad, I was nomadic, and it was incredible. And I recognized that in my early 40s, I was trying to achieve the same baseline for abundance while also adding on a shit ton more money. And what I've come to realize right now in my life is I definitely love to travel, and I come alive when I am in new places or returning to places that is outside of my norm. But I'm not the Sora that was in my 20s. And I could really love the Sora that's now in my mid 40s, and that she now has different needs. And one of them is returning to the places that she loves. It's to find time for rest and to be slow. Young Sora was on the road every day almost, right? And so Sora that's current now doesn't need that or want that. She desires to have a place to land. And so for each and every one of you, as you can consider your abundant life, I'd love for you to consider, what's your evolution? What is the story and the construct of your idea around abundance and living that full expression of freedom? And how does it still feel limited because it's shackled to an old memory versus who you are now based on your initiations, your activations, your awakenings, your wisdom, your new lived experiences, the way that you are sovereign and have self-agency? Who are you now? And from this point, what do you desire to call in as your full, abundant, living self? I hope you join me inside of Devoted Breathe Abundance. It would be such an honor. It'd be such a joy. We have a great time. And if not, may this experience support you in being able to percolate on some of the questions. And I continue, and I hope that I'll be able to share some additional audio clips or some additional podcasts while I'm here in Peru. And if not, I'll see you on the other side when I return. Blessings. Bye for now.
It is a blessing to serve you. My deepest desire is to bring nourishment to your soul, activate and enliven your inner landscape, and find inspiration through the sacred stories of others and myself, so we remember we are collectively woven. If you would like to learn more about mysticism, spiritual devotion, magic and intuition, sacred leadership, business practices, and devoted energy coaching, please make sure you subscribe to Devoted Way Podcast. As I continue to serve, may I humbly ask for a sacred exchange. I would be so appreciative if you would write a love note, otherwise known as a review. Share the episode with your friends and community members, and engage with me on Instagram at Devoted Way. If you have any questions you desire to be answered on Devoted Way Podcast, please head over to devotedway.com and send me an email. Stay sacred and discover your path and join the Devoted Way. May magic and miracles occur in your life every day as you co-create a synchronistic new world with the Great Mother. Until next time, this is Sora Schilling.